back to The Shift. We are so excited that you're here today, whether you're live right now watching us or you're on the replay. We're excited for another, live call with you all today. We have a great topic that we're excited to dive into. Before we get to the topic, as we like to do in all of our lives, we also just like to get everyone, just like a little bit more grounded. Probably a lot of you have been maybe busy. It's already Thursday, right? So getting towards the end of the week and getting to the weekend, which I know here in the US, we're having a 3-day like holiday weekend for some. So it's like kind of an extended weekend. But just like giving you just an opportunity here for the next 60 seconds, just to get a little bit more settled. The goal isn't to necessarily be calm. It's really just to become just a little bit more present with what is here with you today. So I see Kate already settling in, which I love. Like Kate, you're just like already feeling your neck. So I would love to just invite you right now, wherever you are, just to, maybe even beginning some like just subtle, like movements that Kate's making. That could be one option. The other option is maybe just simply turn your head a little bit towards the right. So again, kind of just feeling into this a little bit, like, would I like to turn and pause for a moment, or would I like to just kind of move around and just kind of open up an area that maybe just needs to be opened? So you have two options here. So I'm turning towards the right now, just keeping my gaze really soft, just kind of taking in whatever I see here on the right side of my room. There's still a wreath on my door, so I'm seeing like this really round circle on my front door right now. Beautiful. And then we're just going to turn back. And then I'm going to turn towards the left. And again, you can just begin to take in whatever's here on the left side. And it's really interesting because like turning towards the left right now, like I see my chandelier here on the ceiling, and it's a lot more intricate than the wreath I was just looking at. So there's just like a lot more shapes and curves. It's like a lot more intricate. And I'm going to come back. Yeah, beautiful. And I just have to invite you to now to just open your arms a little bit. So we're just going to do a little bit of like a heart opener. So just kind of opening up the front part of the chest. We tend to spend a lot of time on our computers and our phones, and these areas can get really tight. So just going only as far as it feels comfortable for you. Of course, if you're driving right now, obviously be safe and just, just feel into like a really gentle stretch that would feel good here. And even just you can go forward too, just like giving some support to the back, like the shoulder blades. Yeah, beautiful. That felt really good. I don't know about.
I'm like,
just like so interesting, right? Like just these subtle, like little movements, like does so much. Like I can just already feel like a lot more present. I'm already feeling like a lot less thoughts. How about you, Kate? What are you noticing?
Well, I'm noticing a lot of sensation, especially in my right shoulder. So I co-sleep with my 16-month-old son. And I find that, to date, a lot of nights I spend on my right side, like hosting him. And so my right side of my body has been bearing a lot of weight really throughout my pregnancy journey, and now with co-sleeping with my son. So it's like, I know this, right? I know that my right side tends to be a little more stiff and sore lately, but I don't always take the time in the morning first thing to stretch because he wakes up and he's raring to go. And so it just felt really, really nourishing this morning just to like notice that and notice the tightness and not try to necessarily like get rid of it, but just tend to it and give it that stretching and support that it needs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I so love that share. And you're right. Like just tending to it. It doesn't even necessarily take a long time. And for you on the audience, like whether you have a 16-month-old, like a young child at home like Kate has, or maybe who's getting you up early in the morning, or maybe it's just your mind, like your nervous system waking you up. And it's like this list of to-dos and we just go jump out of bed and we're already like on the go. And that's something, of course, like we help our students with, that element of our nervous system that sometimes is like a little too much in that sympathetic, right? But the other piece here, like you said, of just like taking like this, yeah, like literally 30 seconds to just like maybe just tend to like whatever's feeling a little bit tight or just a little bit like maybe sore or just needs like a little bit of nurturing, right? Yeah, I love that so much, Kate. Perfect. Yeah, so we're going to get into the topic for today. And so the invitation is always, right, in these calls is for you to, I mean, if you feel like you want to, of course, like write something down that's like coming up for you as Kate and I are in dialogue and sharing about, this topic today, of course, like we welcome that. And also the invitation for those of you who tend to be very like doers, you tend to be individuals that maybe are kind of always on and like being very productive. I want to just invite you today to kind of stretch yourself just a little bit. We're going to stretch your system into the stretch zone of actually just taking this in, just listening, not necessarily trying to get a big revelation right away or like some big insight that you need to do something with. Maybe actually just taking it in first, right? And just knowing that that's enough. Just the fact you listened today, you showed up, even if you weren't here the whole live, and you just were present with us. Maybe you stayed with us during that exercise. You did a portion of it, hearing what Kate and I are going to be sharing today. And again, without needing to like necessarily do something right away with it. That's the stretch for you. And that's the invitation for today. So yeah, beautiful. So the topic that we want to get into for today, you'll probably see also on the title for this live, is something that we see quite often, which is why being healed isn't enough to coach and lead at the next level. So even just as I name the word healed, I want to just like have you notice like, yeah, does anything like show up for you? Like this aspect of being healed, like what does that mean to you when you hear that word healed? So maybe that for you is like, oh, there's some sense of completion, or maybe it's like I was able to overcome something, right? Like maybe there was a health issue at one point and you like healed that health issue. Or maybe there's something more emotionally that you were moving through and it feels like now like, oh, I don't feel as triggered by that. Therefore, like I've healed it, right? So yeah, just taking a pause here, maybe just a few seconds just to notice like that word healed. We hear this word a lot. We hear it a lot in the online space. We hear it a lot, kind of everywhere actually, and not just necessarily in wellness, but this element of being healed. And Kate, I want to just turn it to you just briefly before we dive a little bit deeper. What's coming up for you as you hear the word healed, or just as we begin to kind of touch on this topic?
Yeah, well, you probably noticed, Lauren, those of you that are looking at me right now, you notice that I'm rocking back and forth. And so I'm just trusting that, yeah, like that's how my body's responding to that right now. And, it's interesting. There can be this temptation for a lot of us to, when we're posed a question like Laura just did, is to like have an answer that feels really logical and linear and makes sense and feels really complete in it by itself. And for me right now, it's like, yeah, I notice my mind a little bit like wanting to make sense of the question you just asked, Laura, and even like connect it to the movement that my body's doing right now.
Yeah.
There's this part of me that's just reminding myself, like, we don't have to know or understand it at the mental level right now. Like you can just simply notice that when that word healed came up, your body started rocking back and forth. So there's movement here, which is interesting to notice. Mm-hmm. And yeah, can that just be enough for right now? It's just noticing that.
Oh my gosh. I love that, Kate. That is a mic drop right there. And for those of you maybe that just heard like what Kate just shared, I'd love for you to like maybe drop something in the chat, whether you're watching on the replay or you're live right now, just drop a 1 if that's like something you relate to. Like maybe even you started to do that, right? A little bit like as I was asking the question. And again, there's no like right answer here. It's just like really just kind of stretching ourselves a little bit in our nervous system in regards to, like you said, Kate, like always having to have like this logical, like mental answer to something, and like having, just like letting the rocking, letting the sensation, letting the emotion, or even like if nothing showed up, like just letting that be enough, right? Yeah.
I used to be the queen, by the way, for those of you that are like, oh, that's me. I used to be the queen of trying to make sense of everything. My mind loved to, if I can understand it and I can intellectualize it and make sense of it, like that really appealed to lots of different parts of me for different reasons. And so just know you are not alone in that. And again, that action or that tendency or that behavior is not wrong or bad. It's just information that, yeah, like our mind right now in this season maybe is really enjoying being in the driver's seat and is trying to keep us safe by doing that. And so, yeah, it's just an invitation to notice that. And then it's like, can we pause, even if it's just by 1%?
Yeah.
And just slow it down. Like I said, just a small amount, just to see what else might be there underneath what the mind is doing.
Oh, so good, Kate. And I actually, just before we get because this is part of the topic today, and we're gonna dive even just a little bit deeper into this and give you some more like concrete examples. But I'm feeling like just this call right now to really share actually a personal story of mine in the last, gosh, I want to say like couple of days, but it's been brewing for some time. It's not like it just happened in the last like couple of days. And generally, like when things like this are occurring in my life, I try to actually hold it for a bit because sometimes there's that temptation, right? Like we start to feel like there's some new like insight or revelation and we want to share it right away. And again, that's not wrong or bad either, but I was really stretching my system to not share and just like let it just sit and be without needing any kind of feedback from anyone. Which is a stretch actually a little bit, I will admit. So the insight I just wanted to share with all of you that's kind of happened, like I said, it's been happening for some time. Now I'm really feeling this gentle like nudge to share it based on what Kate was just sharing. Was I like I said, I've been doing this work for some time, and I still do it for myself personally in my own nervous system. And what's always fascinating to witness, and what I've been witnessing, is that with my coach, with my mentor, sessions now look very different than they did at the very beginning. And sometimes there's still some variations, but what they've been looking like lately is like not a lot is happening in the session. Like I show up, we are talking, I'm sharing about my week or, something I'm celebrating, because I've also been trying to be more intentional around when something's going really well and to really sit in that and to really, things I've even prayed about that have like happened, like to not rush on to the next thing. So really taking that intentional time to really be in the piece of that, and what's been interesting is like, there's been a part of my system that times is like, still kind of like, is this enough? Like we're just talking or we're just like celebrating this thing and we're not quote unquote working on something right now. Like I was actually kind of blown away, like when I started to go a little bit deeper into this. And again, not the deeper, it's like I was trying to find the deeper aspect of it, but like I started to really hit me like, oh my gosh, like I can just show up and that's enough. Like I don't have to work on my healing. I don't have to come in with this plan. I don't have to like even manage it. And it was interesting because like even in my sessions, I was noticing my coach sometimes would get really quiet. Like she wouldn't even say anything. She wasn't prompting me. Nothing. I was like, and there was like a part of my system that was like, okay, well now you got to take over. Like, well now you got to like start leading the session. And I was like, and luckily I've done this work enough to know like what that part of that's coming up that wants to lead, because it's so automatic for me. And I was like really like in the stretch of being like, we're not going to do that. We're going to just, there is someone leading this. I believe God is leading this session. That's enough. I don't need to lead it. She doesn't need to be. She's leading it, but not in the way that my nervous system, parts of my nervous system wanted her to. So that was a stretch. And so I just really felt called to share that with you. Yeah. And I'll just pause right there. Kate, anything that, you want to share?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your vulnerability and for going there, Laura, today with us, and for sharing that. And again, for those of you that are tuning in either live right now or you're watching the replay, like let us know what's showing up for you just as you hear Laura share that piece of her story and her journey. We'd love to hear just, like what aspects of this are really landing for you and feeling alive maybe in your own system right now. And yeah, that all makes so much sense, Laura. That, well, one, I just am celebrating you for being at this place in your journey where you've shown up and you've been committed and consistent, that you've built so much safety and capacity in your system to now be in a phase and in a place where You're not necessarily having to do so much like unlearning and learning and healing and all of that. Like, again, the work that we do when we're more at the beginning of this journey. And it makes a lot of sense that that protector part of yours came online and was questioning, like, is this enough? Like, should I be doing more? That makes so much sense. And yeah, as you were sharing, I was thinking about just even my own, like zooming out and thinking about my own journey with just how sessions have looked and felt. And yeah, for me, it's like each one is really different. And just based on the intention I have and where my nervous system is, especially with a young toddler and still getting up a lot at night. Sessions now are looking different than they did even when I first had Beckett, my son. But yeah, I just think like over the last couple of years, there's been so many sessions where, yeah, I had an intention of maybe clarity or momentum or having this really specific goal or scenario that was popping up in real time in my life that I wanted to work on. And where my system actually brought me to quote unquote work on that thing or to connect to that intention that I was setting in that session was actually about revisiting experiences that were actually really joyful, pleasant, expansive, peaceful, like things that we would put into the category of pleasant, like positive, quote unquote, emotions and experiences that I think many of us want to experience more of. And it was actually to reprocess those experiences because at the time, and a lot of these was when I was a lot younger, I didn't have the capacity to really appreciate and feel and process like the goodness that was there. So instead of going back and trying to like work on something that felt really heavy or really scary or where there was, yeah, just a lot of maybe intensity, it was actually about going back to parts of myself where it was like, oh, this actually was amazing that happened. And yeah, at the time I can remember maybe being like a little bit happy or excited, but it's like, whoa, there's so much here that I couldn't tap into at that time because I didn't have the capacity for it. Probably because at that time, for most of my life, I was always rushing to the next thing, like checking a box and moving on. And to your point, Laura, like wasn't great at sitting and celebrating. And so what my nervous system actually wanted was just to be reminded of things that already happened that were in alignment with what I want in my present day and saying, hey, here, there's actually already a blueprint for it here. I know your mind maybe forgot about it, but this is actually something you've already tasted and felt maybe in a different way, but it's actually the same thing. Even if like on paper, the scenario or the situation or the goal itself feels a little different, it's actually the same underlying experience, if that makes sense.
Oh, Kate, that is so good. I feel like that could be a whole nother live we could go into at some point with all of you, because you're touching on some really powerful and beautiful things. But I would love to also just hear from you and the audience, like who's watching right now and part of our community, like, yeah, again, like what's landing for you in this? And again, without needing to go searching for like, you know, some big revelation of our sharing, but just like maybe again, like you relate to some of what Kate is sharing, or maybe like there's been this element of same thing. Like I've always been taught that this work is like about the hard things and about like, you know, really healing, which, you know, of course there is elements of that, but like, again, like almost like we get to this place, like Kate was sharing, like we go into session with like this agenda or like, this is the thing I like want to work on. And then it actually ends up being something where like Kate was so beautifully sharing, like taking her back actually to a beautiful moment. Like it was not like this needing to go into like necessarily this really stressful or highly activating place in order for her to, for her system, right, to get that stabilization and to actually revisit like, hey, there's already a blueprint here for what it is that you're desiring. So again, you're not missing something. It's not like, again, like some oftentimes in this work or healing, right, we can feel like we're missing something. And we need to go out there and actively like search for it. And it's got to be hard. It's got to be a lot of efforting, right, to get there. And yeah, I just love that you shared that, Kate, that it doesn't necessarily always have to look like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to share one really quick example to make this real for people. Yes. And so on the surface that you might resonate with this immediately for some of you. but it's less about the example and more about the context here that I'm about to share. So right before my husband and I we were like kind of right in the beginning stages of looking for our current house, which we moved into. And Laura, I've told you this story before. Right before we moved into our house, it was like 20 days before our son was born. So we haven't lived here for very long. He's 16 months old. And we're still in Austin, but we were living in another part of Austin. And I went into a session with my coach. And at the time, there was a lot happening in my business. We were working, getting ready to serve a really large corporate client. I had, Laura and I were doing things with our neurosomatics students in community that we were building. This was all, again, before I was pregnant at the time, and pretty early stage pregnancy. And I went into session. I had no agenda around the house stuff because I thought we kind of had that. Like, we got really clear of what we wanted. We had a realtor we really trusted and liked that we were working with. But all of a sudden, like, some of the business intentions that I set turned into my nervous system taking me back to this house that I was at one time. It was, I figure skated growing up. That was something I did like pretty much my whole childhood. And we had friends that we shared our figure skating coach with that had a birthday party at their house. And they lived in this really beautiful home with high ceilings and a really beautiful yard, like up on a hill. And I remember to this day being like, oh my gosh, I love this house. This feels so, just like bright and light. And I love the way I feel here. And we never went back. We were just there for the birthday party and that was it. But my nervous system took me back to this, and I could remember every detail of the birthday party. I saw the bouncy house. They had this ice luge because they were ice skaters too. So they had this ice luge, and I just could remember everything, like the food. And I was there one time, and it was like I hadn't thought about that in like decades. Like, I was quite young. I probably was maybe 10 years old, maybe 12 at the time. And it was very much like, oh, this is how I want to feel in my new environment that I'm going to be raising a family in and continuing to build in my marriage and my business in. And it seemed on paper like this insignificant moment of this birthday that I went to in this home, but my nervous system was taking me back there to show me what was possible and what I was really wanting to feel when I was in the space that we ultimately would find that would be our house. So yeah, it never ceases to amaze me when we create the space to let our body and our nervous system lead. It will take us where it needs to go to satisfy whatever intention or goal or experience that we're saying, hey, God, I'm praying for this. I'm wanting this. And our body can help support that process.
Oh, such a great story, Kate. I actually love hearing it again, because like just every time you like describe it, like there's something new that you even get like as you're telling the story, and I almost like can go right there with you and like just see like the color, like the different things that were there within the house, and it's just so beautiful. And I also I love this piece that you're connecting as well, which was like, again, kind of maybe going into that session with your coach, like, I guess like having some specific goals and intentions around like your business, but like our home is so connected to our businesses, right? Like if our home is not in order, like there's not like, we don't have like and it's like funny because there's so many beautiful articles that are coming out now, which is so exciting around designing your home for your nervous system. Yes. And how important that is. And so like having because it's where we spend most of our time these days, like particularly if you work from home, but like having a place that just feels safe and, stabilizing and peaceful, like, of course, that's going to have an impact on your environment, has a huge impact on your nervous system, which then is going to have a big impact on how you show up in your business and for your clients. So it is actually connected. So again, mentally, it doesn't seem like there is always necessarily a connection. And I love that example. So beautiful. So I obviously like this is part of our topic today, but I want to just go a little bit deeper with you in terms of like what I just like want to share with you in regards to this aspect of like the healing and this aspect of leadership. So most of you, I can assume, right, have been already healed in like, again, so many different ways. Like maybe you've done therapy, you've done some somatic work. Maybe for some of you have like dipped your toe into nervous system or some type of somatic work. Maybe you study trauma, right? There's so many books out there now and articles and social media posts about trauma. So maybe like you've been studying that or listening to podcasts. You're emotionally intelligent, right? Like you're highly self-aware. You might even be like really self-aware of like your attachment, like what nervous system state you might go into a lot of, right? Like maybe even for some of you who've done some like, this is internal family systems, like this element of like protector parts. So even like when Kate and I reference like protectors or parts of our nervous system, maybe for some of you, like you understand that languaging because you've like listened to a podcast or you've done some of that work like with a therapist or a coach. So again, like you're someone who's like healed in many ways and even like, you know, really dove into healing work. And the thing we want to kind of pose with you all today is like, so there's all of that there, right? Which is beautiful. And at the same time, like when it comes time to lead, though, to be visible, to charge more, to hold more clients at a higher level, or to take up maybe more space publicly, something still tightens. And this is the moment, right, that most coaches or, you know, again, maybe leaders would maybe say something like something must be wrong with me. There's something here I need to, again, like fix. But I want to say this very clearly and very, again, like from this place of stability, is that nothing is wrong with you. You're just standing in a gap most people don't have a language for. So healing, right, absolutely can close loops. And it's important that we do close those loops, right? Because if we have too many open loops, it can feel very overwhelming and it can actually even distract us, right? So again, healing closes loops and that's necessary. And leadership in some of these aspects that we're talking about in terms of being more visible, you know, charging more, holding clients at a higher level, taking up more space publicly, that requires capacity. I'm just going to pause there for a moment. Kate, anything that you want to add to that, or you're feeling really alive? And if not, that's okay. We can just keep going, but I want to just pause.
Yeah, I feel like you're speaking to so many previous versions of myself where she was like, if I just effort a little bit harder, if I just push a little more, if I just discipline and, you know, like just some of those old strategies and mindsets. It's like, then I'll get there, then I'll arrive, then I'll have the thing. And the feeling that I want underneath the thing. But it's like, I feel like just relief when you say that.
Yeah.
Because healing is about resolving what happened.
Yes.
And leadership is about holding what's happening now. And creating the capacity to do that. And so I think that's where it's like, because this work is so deeply, right, we're not doing this from just the mental field, we're doing this at a somatic, at a sensation level. So maybe even just noticing right now as Laura and I are sharing, kind of the difference here between healing and this leadership. Yeah. Again, especially in the context of like leading others. So leading clients, patients, or even team members, for those of you that have a team. Yeah, just as we make some of those distinctions around healing and leadership and what's required for the level that you've been preparing for some of you for years, for decades, like you've been doing this healing work, this preparation work.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe just pausing and like noticing if you notice a sensation anywhere. Maybe there's, like a tingling or a buzzy feeling. Like maybe there's energy here or you feel like, there's some inner movement. Or maybe for you, it feels like, I can lean back. This feels like really peaceful in my system right now. And there's a lot of stillness here. So there's no, again, like right or wrong way to receive what we're sharing. This is just about getting curious about noticing how your system is responding to what you're hearing right now.
Yeah, I love that invitation, Kate. And for those of you that are still kind of newer to this work, if you're not really noticing much right now, too, like that's okay. Even numbness, like even is a sensation. So I just want to name too, like it doesn't have to be something yeah, like Kate, some of the things that Kate was just referencing, and maybe it could just be, yeah, I'm not really noticing much right now, and that even that's an experience. So
Absolutely. The
yeah,
absence of a sensation is an experience.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's
Yeah,
beautiful information. All of this is information. I look at this as at any given moment, our system is just communicating to us.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so well said, Kate. Yeah, and you're right. Like I definitely can relate to that as well. Like I even shared earlier, right? Like even sometimes there's still even parts of my system that again is like actively looking for the thing sometimes that I need to quote unquote like fix or heal, right? Rather than really being necessarily always like in the present, right?
Yeah.
You said. So it's really interesting. It's like again, like sometimes it's part of our system that like it can't be. I mean, we could go deeper on this at some point in time, but it's almost like sometimes to our system, anything that seems like too simple can almost be we distrust it a little bit. Like it's like
Mhm.
no, like that just seems a little too simple or too easy. Even with ease though, there comes some effort. So again, we're not saying like there's no like effort at all, but like you know what I mean. Like there's this element of like it's got to be like harder somehow. Like I
Yeah.
got to really go looking for it. And yeah, we even hear like sometimes from our clients and our students, right? Like I've done so much work. Like I've done like some of the somatic work, I've been listening to the podcast, I've been reading the books, like I've gotten certifications in like NLP or like, these different modalities. And they say like, why is this still hard?
Yeah.
I'm not dysregulated, but I'm not expanding either. Like I'm not really feeling like there's growth here. I can support clients beautifully, but I still find myself hesitating. I don't want necessarily another certification. I want to feel different. I want to have
Yeah.
a different experience of really being present in my life. And I want to have the experience of feeling at peace that when I go into sessions with clients, I'm not consistently second guessing myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you tuning in and you're like, there's something, yeah, like nudging you here, or maybe you feel something even bigger lighting up. Yeah, just imagine. We just want to take a moment just to like
Yeah.
help connect you with what's possible. Yeah, what becomes possible when we learn and how to build the capacity, like when we are supported in that process. Just imagine being able to lead without needing to shrink to stay safe, without second guessing a post, or maybe you're in a private conversation with someone. And in the past, there'd be like that peacekeeper part of you or that people pleaser part that would maybe just hold back a little because you didn't want to feel like too much or too passionate or too over the top. So just imagine, yeah, what it would be like to feel safe showing up exactly as you are. Imagine charging what reflects your depth
Yes.
and your vision without armoring. And imagine your nervous system, your body trusting your authority, but also that God, that your creator is also leading and providing, and you don't have to go at it alone and make it all happen. So this is what changes when healing becomes embodied capacity. So this is what changes when healing becomes embodied capacity. So maybe even just like embodied capacity, that might sound really like word soup to you. So just like take a moment to even connect with what that might mean to you. I always say words create worlds, and we all have kind of this own unique way of interacting with the words that we hear and the language that we use. So, yeah, what I mean by embodied is like not just thinking it or knowing it or understanding it intellectually, but really like walking that truth in every cell of your body. without any, wavering to that. And capacity simply means the kind of more clinical term for it is window of tolerance in the nervous system space. So if you've read books on polyvagal theory, or just, somatic experiencing, you probably have heard that term, window of tolerance. And Laura and I, in our program, Neurosomatics, we actually refer to it as zone of capacity. So we feel like it's, when we hear the word tolerance, we don't want to just tolerate something. We don't want to just tolerate life or business. We want to expand our capacity to really hold what it is that God has available for us. So maybe just even taking a moment to notice, what is my capacity right now for this, for leadership, and maybe you have one specific thing that's really on your heart right now. So maybe it's more working with certain clients or charging a certain amount, or maybe you really want to start speaking. Or maybe for you, it's more of a personal goal. We have a lot of people that come into our program that Laura and I on paper are like, oh yeah, they are a great fit for the certification, for the ICF accreditation perspective. And then they tell us on an enrollment call that I'm actually wanting to take this for more personal reasons and more just personal expansion. So maybe for you, it's something related to motherhood or parenthood or your marriage, or maybe living in an environment that feels really aligned for you. Yeah, so whatever that intention or goal that you're really focused on right now, is just noticing what is my capacity for that right now? And you don't have to have an answer. Maybe just notice where your body goes. Maybe you feel a certain sensation, or again, an absence of a sensation. Maybe you see a color or an image. Maybe your body starts moving in a certain way. So yeah, just noticing how your body's responding right now to that question. Yeah. Yeah, and this is exactly why Laura and I built and created Neurosomatics, our 90-day ICF accredited training and certification program to support people just like you, coaches, leaders, practitioners, human transformation experts that are already skilled, who like you are already healed, but you're ready for a deeper level of integration at the level that this level of leadership requires. So if something in your body today recognized this, or maybe more today, maybe it was your mind, maybe something was really lighting up for you in your mental mind, just know that you're exactly who this work is for. Yeah. Yeah, and so we just want to invite you. We have enrollment conversations are open now for our spring cohort, which is the only cohort we're running this year. And we know that this isn't for everyone. We didn't intend it to be for everyone, but it is for those who know that they're ready to live what they already know. So to close that gap that Laura talked about earlier. Yeah, so if that's speaking to you in any way, please send us a message, comment here, wherever you're watching. If you're on Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube, we'd love to hear from you. If you are on Instagram, Laura and I have in our bios links to our waitlist as well as our program guide if you want to just read more about the program. But yeah, just say hi. We'd love to hear from you. Laura and I personally respond to everyone who reaches out to us on our platforms. And so we would love to just begin a dialogue with you and to hear what resonated with you in today's conversation and what landed the most for you. Yeah, we'd love to just start there with you. Laura, anything you want to share as we wrap up today?
No, that was so beautiful, Kate. And yeah, I just we like Kate was referencing, we love chatting with you, and I'm having just some really incredible conversations with some of you who have been reaching out and are curious about the program. There's even a couple ICF coaches that are looking for those CCEs. So also if you are an ICF coach and you're looking for a program this year to get 20 of those credits, come chat with us. This is an amazing program, and those who are an ICF coach have found that this program has been so transformational for them personally, but also for their business in terms of opportunities with corporate clients, but also just privately with their clients, and the results and transformations that are happening for those that they're called to serve. But yeah, we're really excited, like I said, to have conversations with you and continue also our weekly shift calls. So we'll be back here next week with you with another topic that we'll be diving into and just sharing more, just more stories from our clients, but also personally, I'm sure there'll be some more stories there. And we hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day or your evening and your weekend. And we look forward to seeing you next week on The Shift.